Welcome to the Stop Over Drinking and Start Living podcast, where high-achieving, goal-oriented rebel women come to learn how to live a vibrant and fulfilling life without requiring alcohol to get through it. No labels, no judgments, no saying you'll never drink again. Just real proven methods to help you stop rebelling against yourself with alcohol so you can drink less and do more. I'm your host, Angela Mascenik. Let's dig in. Welcome to episode 319, When and When Not to Use Willpower to Stop Over Drinking. Well, hello. Welcome back to the podcast. How are you all doing? Really, how are you? I'm hanging in there. One little thing that I've been doing in the evenings with my son and now my husband is we're learning to speak Portuguese. And so we got this amazing website called Practice Portuguese. And we spend about an hour and 15 minutes every night doing it together and kind of like sharing, practicing. You say this, you say that, for an hour. And honestly, it's such a good way to spend some time. So if you're all struggling right now and you're overwhelmed and stressed and anxious about the state of the world or what's going on in the United States, I want to recommend that you find something to do, right? So if you're inside one of my coaching programs, dig into the work, right? Go watch the videos, go watch coaching call replays. Give yourself an hour and a half in the evening to engage with something that you're learning. I think learning how to do something it boosts your self-confidence when you start to make progress. It can engage you in something that's good for you, and you get off the stress train for a little bit. And I found that has been really, really fun for us. And it's something different and something new, and it doesn't take a lot of effort, right, to go through the app and practice saying words and writing things down and stuff like that. So if you struggle with over drinking, obviously you need to be in my coaching program, so that can be the thing that you learn how to do. But if you're not, think about learning something else. Could you learn how to knit? Could you learn how to paint? Could you do something that you're kind of engaging with that's good for you, that takes your mind off of other things? It's not a numbing, right? We're not engaging with something that's numbing to our brains, like scrolling and reading all the news. That's actually not numbing. It creates more stress and overwhelm. But I just wanted to share that with you that, I don't drink anymore. We're going on 7 years right now. And that has been a really good way to engage with something in the evening. I don't have a lot of evening activities. Everybody knows this that knows me, that after about 5:30 pajamas are on and Angela doesn't go anywhere. And I love that, actually. So this has been very cool to kind of keep me engaged and keep me energized as we go into the evening. So anyway, highly recommend that you learn how to do something when you're feeling this way. And maybe you could learn with this podcast episode's topic is about willpower. So we talk a lot about willpower and everybody uses that word. I just need more willpower. I don't have willpower. And I want to really get into when and when not to use willpower to help you stop over drinking or to break any habit, right? Or to go to the gym more or to stop eating after dinner at night, right? Maybe it's to stop scrolling. That's addictive too. So think about what issue you have, and obviously we're here mostly because of the drinking stuff, but when you've relied on willpower, when your willpower fails, right, sort of start thinking about that. So first, I just want to talk about what willpower is. And willpower is a very limited resource that we have that we use throughout the day. And basically, and it gets recharged when you go to bed at night. So when you wake up in the morning, you have willpower to get out of bed, right? Especially if that doesn't feel great to you. We need willpower to get up when the alarm goes off. Think about doing things you don't really want to do, right? So maybe it's getting out the door, getting your kids ready, packing lunches, going to the gym in the morning. We're using this type of willpower throughout the day. So maybe it's to attend a meeting at work or to do a project that you've been procrastinating on. You're like, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to do this project, right? That's using willpower. And so throughout the day, we're tapping into that resource. And by the end of the day, that resource can be exhausted. And we're making decisions all day. We're tapping into this willpower. We have our feelings, there's stress going on. And that's why sometimes it's hard when people think, I don't have willpower to not drink. And that might be a little bit true, right? It's not that you don't have it. It's just that you've exhausted it. Okay. And that sort of white knuckle energy that we talk about to get through cravings or urges or to not drink or to, stick to your planned amount, you've tapped into that willpower so much throughout the day that it's not a long-term strategy. But I am going to tell you some ways that you can use it to help yourself. But it's not something that we want to solely rely on to help us change our behavior. Okay, it's just because it's such a limited resource and we use it for other things throughout the day as well. So before we get into when to not use it, we'll talk about when it does work. So it can be a helpful way to use it, like intentionally, when you need to. So let's just say you're standing in the kitchen after a long, stressful day at work, right? And you feel that automatic urge to just grab a bottle of wine. And you use your willpower to stop, right? And you're conscious and you pause and you give yourself a second to take a breath and you say no. Okay, that's using willpower. It's like, no, I'm not going to do it. You recognize you want to, and then you say no. And that works because it's this sort of short burst of energy, of direction that you're giving yourself to break that habit that you have, right? And you're using that willpower and telling yourself no to interrupt the urge that you have and give yourself a little bit more space. Okay, so it's good for in the moment decisions like that. But we don't want to rely on it again for long-term changes. So I talk about this too, is like you can use it if you might need to tap into your willpower a little bit when you go out in a social engagement, right? So like if you're going out to have dinner or something with friends and you're like, okay, this is a new situation for me and I'm going to try not drinking, right? You might need to tap into your willpower. It's like, no, I'm just not going to drink at this event. It's a very short-term challenge that you're facing. You can also plan like a simple response. No, I'm just not drinking tonight, right? That's a very short-term way to use your willpower. And these short-term ways or bursts of willpower are easier in like minute situations because there's an end point, right? You just know, I just need to get through to this one thing, right? I just need to not drink for between 6 and 7 and then I'll be okay, right? That's just that kind of just for today mindset without overwhelming yourself. So that's a good way to use willpower. So it also can be used to give yourself that pause. I talk about the stop notice process, the SNP, right? So willpower can be helpful when you feel a strong emotional trigger. So like something really upsetting you. And then when a craving comes from that sort of emotional state, like frustration or rage or anger or loneliness or boredom, willpower can help you pause just long enough to notice that feeling. You could say something to yourself like, you know what is going on with me right now? No, this isn't on my plan. What is it that I'm experiencing? So I talk about the after work example all the time, right? So when you get home from work, you recognize you want to drink, you use willpower to give yourself that pause, and then you say, what am I really feeling here? And then you might discover that you're just tired or you just need a break from being overstimulated and you need some downtime and alone time. So that pause initiated by the willpower to just stop and notice can be very effective in that moment, right? To get you into awareness and to tap into a little bit something that you might need a little bit more. So a way to maximize using your willpower strategically is to plan ahead, right? I talk about this all the time. Have your drink plan, decide in advance how you're going to respond when your cravings hit. So that sort of like, I just need to move through this craving right now, right? I just need to get through this event. Like that could be a strategy for you, sort of using willpower. And then just beginning to build rituals around your new routines, right? So if you are using willpower in sort of short, specific bursts, it's not that you're relying on it to carry the entire burden of changing your habits. Okay. So we know, hopefully by now, you know this. Maybe this is your first podcast episode. I'm not sure. But it's going to take more than these very specific, short willpower moments to make long-term changes with what you're drinking. It needs to be a holistic approach. We need to come at it with multiple angles. Okay, so willpower is a tool that you can use in these specific situations, but it's not something that you want to rely on. So we want to have alternatives into, using willpower, right? So that's what I'm going to talk about next. So willpower falls short or fails when we're really tired. Okay. And maybe you've had a recent overdrink. So maybe you overdrank last night and you're, not only are you mad about that, but you're tired, you're drained, you've exhausted, physical resources, and your self-criticism and shame are at peaks. Okay. So willpower is going to fall short when you're feeling this way. So we need to figure out different ways to come at it. So those ways are building good self-care habits, having self-compassion for yourself when you have a slip up, and awareness of how you're handling those urges and those desires for the desire to drink. Okay. So again, looking ahead, ways that you can change your habits and change how much you're drinking and reduce how much you're drinking and make them last long term is we got to start identifying our triggers, right? So recognizing what causes your cravings so that you can have you have your plans to overcome them, right? So overcoming your obstacles. I talk a lot about that. You want to start creating supportive routines. So that means, like, I'm talking about self-care. How can you set yourself up for success and take good care of yourself so that you have more stamina to navigate your triggers? Okay, so that's like drinking enough water during the day, getting enough rest, moving your body at least 30 minutes a day, journaling, right? So like if you look at all the self-care things that I talk about, building that in on a regular basis and not just relying on willpower is going to be critical in your long-term success. Also, processing your emotions, learning how to feel and sit with your feelings without judgment and without trying to get out of them too quickly is a skill that y'all need to learn anyway. Right? So like that and your self-care is probably the most important things. And then also looking at how you're thinking, right? So our mindset. So the willpower and white knuckle energy sounds like I can't have it, right? And we need to shift that to I've chosen not to have it tonight, right? So instead of feeling like you're limiting yourself or you're depriving yourself, that all comes from how you're thinking about it. So evaluating how you're thinking about those moments. Yes, willpower can be helpful in those situations that I talked about to get through one specific event, like I've decided not to have it tonight, right? That would be a mindset shift to I can't have it. And that still can tap into that little bit of that willpower, okay? And then also having community support to help you navigate this stuff and like be able to dissect, am I using willpower? Am I relying on willpower too much? What do I need to do to build my self-care, to have my strong foundation of me taking really good care of myself so I have less urges and need to not use my willpower or work through the urges so often, right? Like I talk about this all the time too, is like if you're having a lot of urges and you feel like you're battling with yourself a lot, you're probably not doing the things that you need to be doing to take care of yourself. Usually when we have a high volume of that, it's because our foundation for self-care is pretty low or non-existent, right? How is your sleep? How is your food? Are you eating enough? Are you drinking enough water? Are you saying no? Are you overscheduling, right? And when that stuff is shaky, you're going to have way more urges and you're going to have to tap into the willpower more. And then it just fails us because we've stretched ourselves too thin. Does that make sense? So we need to build our foundation of self-care every day. How are you taking care of yourself so that you can stay strong and navigate those urges better, right? And you have more like oomph in you, right? You have more energy to navigate those urges instead of just relying on this very low level of willpower that you might not have very much of in the tank by the end of the day after you've made yourself do a bunch of other things that you don't really want to be doing, okay? So just to wrap it up here, I want to remind you that stopping over drinking isn't about having some superhuman willpower, Okay, there's nothing wrong with you if you notice that you lack a lot of willpower. Maybe a good exercise for you so that you know that you're not lacking willpower is asking yourself, what am I doing on a day-to-day basis that I don't want to do? And just be honest with yourself. You don't have to tell anybody this, okay? But just make a list. Like what is on a day-to-day basis that I make myself do that I don't want to? Maybe another way to look at it is like, what do I feel resentful about doing every day? Right? That'll highlight to you what you really don't want to do, but you do it anyway. You're using willpower for all of that stuff. Making yourself do things when you don't want to do them. That's willpower. Okay. And if you're doing a lot of that in your day-to-day life, you're exhausting yourself. Right? So we need to save some of our reserves and stop doing some of the things that we really don't need to be doing. We need to ask for help. We need to start saying no more. That's a whole nother podcast topic, right? But that's what you want to start looking at. And if you recognize that your willpower is failing you at the end of the day and you have a lot of urges, we got to start by building that self-care, taking good care of yourself, drinking the water, getting fresh air, moving your body, getting enough sleep, eating enough, eating good foods that fuel you throughout the day, right? And planning for those obstacles ahead of time, making your drink plan, being intentional. And if you do all that, I promise you will make progress on your relationship with alcohol and you won't have to struggle so much. So willpower isn't a bad word. I know I've probably talked about it. Maybe you think that it's a bad word. It's not. It's just a limited resource and it works sometimes and sometimes it doesn't. And that's why we have to come at it holistically. So I would love to work with you if you're struggling with your relationship with alcohol. And I have some really fun, exciting news that you're hearing about for the first time is, guess what? The Wine-Free Workweek Challenge is coming back and it's right around the corner. So it starts on March 10th and it goes till March 14th. And if you haven't heard about the Wine-Free Workweek Challenge, let me just tell you, this is my 4th year of doing this challenge a couple times a year. Thousands of women, thousands upon thousands of women have come in and taken this pledge to go alcohol-free Monday through Thursday during the work week. And then every day during the challenge, you can come on and get direct coaching. Okay, so it's a Q&A style format. You ask a question and I provide coaching. And guess what? It's off Facebook this time. So if you've participated in the past and you're trying to avoid social media, I'm supporting that. And we're going to have our own private portal where all of the materials, the daily assignments during the challenge will be housed. You have immediately access after the live calls happen. They're uploaded into the portal so you can watch them the same day right away if you can't make the live calls. And then our community where we're going to post our challenges and you answer with your written homework and assignments for the challenge that enters you in to win fun prizes is also going to be off social media right inside the same portal that you'll get access to. So I'd love for you to come check out the Wine-Free Workweek Challenge going on March 10th through March 14th. The link to check that out and to sign up is angelamascenik.com/WFWW. Don't miss this because I'm not doing it again until late fall. So if you want practice with when to use willpower, when to not, and direct coaching and resources on how to handle urges, how to process your feelings, how to take care of yourself, then you got to come check it out in the Wine-Free Workweek Challenge. It's a really good sample of how I coach and the community in which you get to be involved with. It's a beautiful community. Everybody's really supportive and all working on this together. And the energy and the vibe in there just fuels you up and you want to keep going. So come check it out. And as soon as that challenge wraps, Alive AF, my monthly membership, is going to be open for enrollment. So that opens on March 14th. If you're not on my email list and you want to be sure you miss the you get the announcement when Alive AF opens, make sure you go to angelamascenik.com/AliveAF and then you can enter your email in there and you'll receive a notification when the membership is open for enrollment. That is only going to be open for enrollment 2 times this year as well. So if you want a low-cost monthly membership where you get support, coaching, workshops, and more, then check out Alive AF and make sure you get on the list as well. All right, my friends, I hope you have a beautiful week. Learn something, engage with something that's good for you, and I will talk to you soon. Bye for now.